In this video, we're flipping the script on how car enthusiasts travel. We're diving into the best cars you can rent for less than $100 a day that will truly transform your vacation. Because let's be real, if the car doesn't excite you, is it even worth the trip?
To love a car is not to take it on a trip and just absolutely dog the hell out of it. It just doesn't seem like a good use of vacation time to take your daily driver or maybe even your project car and just drive it all the way out to somewhere where you can have some fun with it and then take it all the way back home. I'd rather fly.
Yeah, it's a long drive. To get a car that you actually want to drive is going to be ridiculously expensive unless you just get something that's kind of crap.
Well, I think there's an opportunity here to find something that's fun to drive that you can make awesome memories in that isn't going to absolutely break the bank.
And that's also going to be worth my money.
That's going to be worth your money and you're going to have a ton of fun with it.
That's a hard case to make.
All right, well, let's jump into it. The criteria that I'm looking at, and I'm looking at Turo. I know there's other car rental companies. I know there's also Hertz can get you a convertible Mustang, which some people might say is a driver's car. I won't. The average price that somebody spends on a rental car when they take a trip is $500 a week, which works out to roughly $70 a day.
Okay, yeah, that sounds about average, but you're getting a Ford Focus or something.
Well, you click the Ford Focus button, they give you a Nissan Sentra.
Yeah. Dude, or worse, I don't want to side rail, but every single time I click Manager Special, I get an EV. Every single time. I'm in the middle of nowhere, I can't charge it, I'm freaking out. Okay, sorry.
Yeah, definitely don't do an EV. There's no EVs on this list.
Don't click the Manager Special. They're gonna give you a Chevy Volt every time.
Oh my God, dude. Well, the Chevy Volt, actually, there's some rumors that it's coming back as a really cheap, cool car, but whatever. Well, that's a conversation for another day. We can make that case another time. The criteria that I'm using here is I bumped that budget from $70 a day up to $100 a day, which I feel like is a nice round number to have as a target, right?
Okay.
The other criteria can be picked up from the airport. People don't think about that. Veteran travelers will know that an Uber from the airport can be crazy expensive. I know we've taken some $100 Ubers in our day.
It's true, but for some reason, I always feel like I want to prioritize saving money everywhere else.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So being able to pick it up right from a parking lot that the airport shuttle can take you to, massive plus there.
Massive.
Another criteria, unlimited mileage. You don't think about that, but if you're going to be road tripping this thing, you want to not have to worry about hitting that mileage cap. And even if you sit down, you do the calculations, and you're like, there's no way I get even close to it. It's going to be sitting in the back of your mind. You're going to have mileage anxiety.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's going to make the whole thing not worth it.
Should unlimited mileage really be unlimited though? If you rent someone's enthusiast car and drop 2,000 miles, it's so messed up, I feel like.
That'll roll right into the next criteria, which is common enough to find in most cities.
Okay.
So I don't want to pick anything for this video that's when I was searching, I found, diamond in the rough.
Okay, yeah.
I did see somebody's 58,000 mile 2006 Honda S2000 for $120 a day with unlimited mileage.
Yeah, just go put 15,000 miles.
I was I don't think I could do that to your car, man.
Just go coast to coast real quick.
I couldn't do that to you. I wanted to, but I would feel so bad.
Yeah. You just be crying the whole way.
Oh my God, dude, it's not worth it. And the final criteria is just being actually fun to drive. So a lot of people will just, prioritize looking dope, having clout, maybe a great sound system, maybe good trunk space, whatever comfortable ride, high horsepower, whatever it is. I don't care what any of those things are. I want something that will actually be fun to drive, because the purpose of this road trip is not to get me to Disneyland where I can have some fun. The road trip is the fun.
Yeah. All right, I'm excited. Let's see what you got.
All right. So I looked at 3 main cities. I looked at the Pacific Coast Highway in LA, the Blue Ridge Parkway in North Carolina, and I looked at the Tail of the Dragon in Tennessee. Each of those cities, I found a nearby international airport that you could fly into for cheap, and I took a sample size of all the cars available. And all of these cars were available for under $100 a day from each one of those airports.
This car was at all of those airports right now?
Exactly.
Okay.
And for any time that I checked, just because there's so many of them.
Okay.
Number 1 on the list, the Subaru BRZ.
Oh no.
The Subaru BRZ, it's not the most horsepower, but if you think about the Tail of the Dragon, what do you want? You want something low power that you can really string out, that handles well, that's light.
What's the power figure for a Subaru?
Got a clean 220.
Oh, you know what? When you said BRZ, for some reason I thought you were saying WRX.
No.
Okay. All right, the BRZ is still, it's okay, but like, hey, look, it's light. I get it. I thought you were saying the WRX. I was like, oh man, that's how we're starting this episode.
No, I actually couldn't find WRXs for some reason. I mean, that would be cool if you were going somewhere really rugged, if part of your trip was like overlanding, you wanted all-wheel drive. I could see that. It's kind of a rarer car.
No, don't do that.
Competing with the BRZ, I got a BMW 230i and 430i.
So, is that the same powertrain as the 330i that I had?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
That's that 4-cylinder turbo.
it's the bottom line of zippy. Like,
Yeah.
you could just barely call it zippy.
Yeah.
If that was in a lighter form factor, like a 230, like, okay, I could see it.
I drove a 230 in Pennsylvania when I went there, and it, you know, that engine leaves a lot to desire. Like, I put my foot down. I really wanted more from it every time I did that.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, if I wasn't like stringing out like on straight roads or trying to like just test the performance like I was, that thing handles great, and I would have had a ton of fun with it on some windy roads. And the 430i, I imagine, is just the same. You have a little bit more wheelbase. The suspension's probably a little less bumpy. That 2 Series had like a real like stiff suspension, which I could see not being great, especially if like, you know, the roads aren't perfect where you are.
It's a motor that doesn't really rev.
It doesn't like it. It doesn't
Like,
take the gas.
It doesn't like revving, and so like, but I get it. Like, it's light, and I mean, for what it was, that car handled fine.
The handling's definitely a strong point there. It's got
fine.
beautiful balance, but yeah, it takes 2 to 3 business days to deliver that boost.
Yeah, it does.
So Mustangs and Camaros, I'm gonna just talk about these at the same time. You can get the light engine in a newer car, or you can get the V8 in an older car for under $100.
I mean, and it's not your car, so I guess might as well get the older one.
Literally.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the great thing about this. You know, we're not worried about upkeep. We're not worried about like breaking the bank and having to deal with the maintenance.
Yeah.
You know, you're not going to do anything as long as you're not being a maniac and like doing burnouts everywhere. Like, you're going to be fine. The car's going to be fine, but it's nice to have the peace of mind that you're not doing that to your own car.
Yeah.
Mustang and Camaro, solid options. And now we're getting into the higher end. Some of these things started to peak up over $100, but I think they're good picks. I can't give you a C8, but I can give you a C7.
Okay, so old Mustang and Camaro.
Yeah.
Okay, C7. Yeah, why are we even making this list?
Well,
Let's
C7's
just-
cool, but
just rent the C7. and
no,
we're
but
done.
like
just that's it. We're done with this.
in the twisties, you want a C7?
yes,
I'm
in the
gonna
twisties.
Wrap that thing around an old growth redwood.
Oh my god, that's what makes it fun.
Dude, if I want to be absolutely like sweaty palms terrified the entire time,
What else do you want?
I want to have fun.
That sounds like a lot of
That's
fun.
not fun for me.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, C7 is the best car I've heard on this list for sure.
A C7 is definitely the highest horsepower car on this list.
Yeah, it also handles incredibly well.
It does
It's a
handle really,
Corvette.
really well.
Last
And
front engine car that they're ever gonna put out.
forever.
probably.
Honestly, that's another plus you can give to the C7 is that you might get a manual there. Like, that's one of those cars where you might genuinely find
That's
a manual.
insane. That's definitely the best car by a long shot.
Yeah. Another one, the Genesis G80.
Very luxurious.
Yeah.
Been in this car. It actually hauls.
Yeah.
You put your foot on the pedal and this thing moves.
The V6 Genesis G80 is no joke.
It's heavy.
It's heavy, yeah.
It feels heavy.
Yeah. It's comfortable as hell.
I
though.
don't know how it would handle in the twisties though. I mean, if I've only been in it like on highways and normal roads. I don't know like in the twisties.
It's not great handling. I probably wouldn't select it for that, but maybe more Pacific Coast Highway where like, yes, you have the mountain twisties. Maybe you cruise that, you admire the scenery a little bit, but you have that beef at the ground level, sea level straightaways. That's a great car.
Yeah,
for that.
you also just like ideally want a 2-door. It doesn't make any difference, but something about just the vibes of a road trip. It's like the 2 doors make me feel sportier, even
True.
if it's the same car.
True. And I bypassed a lot of cars on this list just because I was like, nobody should ever drive those on a road trip. If
Give
you're
me
trying to
one
have
just
fun.
as an example.
Camry. Like, there's just obviously a lot of Camrys. There's obviously like a lot of like SUVs, like 4Runners, a Jeep Wrangler. I saw a ton of those. Tesla Model Ys, no EVs, and also no like SUVs. There's just a ton of cars that I just like skated right by that technically fit these criteria.
Dude, how much is a Tesla Model 3 Performance? I'm just gonna throw it out there. That would be, if you can get past the fact that you will sell a little bit of your soul that day because you won't get any revs. That car handles amazing. It's very fast. It's very quick.
It's probably in that price range. You can probably get a Model 3.
A new Model 3 Performance with the updated suspension. That is a pick. That is a sleeper pick.
Interesting.
That's a sleeper pick.
I was gonna ask later what your sleeper picks were.
Well, what you got to do is you got to put down the windows and blast like anything. just so loud that you wouldn't be able to hear the engine anyways. And then you can just whip it.
That's great. I could talk about a Tesla Model 3
Performance though, performance.
especially if you're in California where you're gonna have a lot of like chargers no matter where you are.
Yeah, that is a good point. You don't want to get caught out there with no charger.
One thing that I really was surprised to see on the list, because I didn't know that it sold that well, but every airport had one, an Audi S5.
What year?
2020 newer.
The S5 is a dope car.
S5 is a dope car. I was like, hold on. That's a turbo V6 from Audi?
Yeah.
Two-door?
Yeah, that's a good one.
Bro, like what? Why is that so cheap? But they're cheap and they're plentiful on Turo. Kind of ridiculous, no?
S5 and C7. Those are my hitters on this list.
Yeah. Well, there's one car that I left off this list so far, which is also cheap, plentiful, and I think I'm gonna make the argument is the best possible car to take on a road trip.
What do we got?
Miata. The Miata, we're not only talking under $100, we're talking like 60, 70 bucks a day, unlimited mileage, probably manual. This is the quintessential road trip car to take through the twisties. I can't think of a better car to do it in.
This is what it feels like when you thought you were playing a good game in chess and then they just put their queen there and you know. They don't have to say anything. You know you have no moves left. He's right. It's slow as all hell. If you can get a nice twisty road without tons of start and stops, like dead start and stops.
As long as you don't lose that momentum.
You can just carry some speed through those corners and probably have a hell of a time. It's probably way cheaper. It's very nimble. It's super light. You can probably get a convertible. Yeah, I think that's fair. I think that's a great option.
So you're saying Miata over the 230i for like a small?
Why are you asking me this?
No, just talk to me. Look,
what are you trying to do here? What are you trying to get me to say publicly right now?
I might be clip farming.
Yeah, why are you clip farming?
I might be clip farming for Miata.
No, I'm not giving you that.
Miata BRZ, what do you feel? No? Miata C7?
Yeah, for sure.
Miata over the C7 Corvette?
I can't even say that. So many of the things I say, we post in an Instagram clip with no context and everyone thinks I'm not being sarcastic. And then I get literally 100 comments that are like, this guy said he would take a Miata over a C7. He's a joke.
Dude, their favorite thing to do is say you're not a car guy. Immediate not a car guy.
No, dude, I think the C7 and the Audi S5 are the hitters on this list. Look, the Miata is up there. I have to admit it. And depending on what kind of trip this is, if you really want to be top down and that's just your vibe, Miata might be the best option here. For me and my vibe, I'm taking a C7 every day. And if I can't get my hands on a C7, I'm taking the S5. Like those are just such great cars for the money. And they're the kind of cars that like, I just feel like everyone who wants one doesn't have one.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like the C7, even though it's not the most expensive car on the road, is kind of hard to get your hands on. Like a nice spec. And like, if you have that much money, you're probably getting something a little bit more practical. Like there's few people with 50, 60 grand in their pocket. They're like, yeah, let me get a two-door last gen Corvette.
Yeah.
And so I just think it's a sick car to like be able to drive. Obviously I'm biased. I'm a textbook Corvette. We know this. But yeah, it's for a reason. I think they're great cars.
I'm willing to put those up there, like the S5, the C7 Vet, and the Miata. I'm willing to put them up there as like great cars depending on the situation. And there's nothing wrong with having options, because at the end of the day, maybe for whatever reason, one of these things isn't available in your area. Maybe one's a little bit cheaper. Maybe one is coming from a more reputable seller. Like any one of those realities can be true. So like, I think you cannot do any better than any one of those cars. But specifically for the trip that I'm going on, where I'm flying into Knoxville and I'm going down to the tail of the Dragon and just ripping it through those like heavily wooded twisties in rural Tennessee, that's Miata country for me, man. That's gotta be Miata country.
No, it's definitely C7 country for me, and I'm holding on for dear life.
Dude, that one turn at the tail of the Dragon where they have the tree coated in all the parts, where it's like a negatively cambered embankment, that C7 it's not coming back.
No, it sounds like a recipe for 500 horsepower and rear-wheel drive.
Oh, dear God. Turn right to go left. The point of this video is just that I'm doing this, and I got really excited, and I want a good reason just to like research it and like really dive into it. And I was really, really happy with what I found. Like the fact that I can pay for, in a lot of places, what people are paying to rent like a Nissan Sentra and have the trip of a lifetime is absurd. Like, why aren't people doing this?
Yeah, unlimited miles. Like it's okay. So what are you picking?
I think I'm with you. I think it depends on the place. And if you're going somewhere that isn't like literally like the most treacherous twisties of all time, I might go a higher horsepower car, but for me, wanting to be safe and wanting to drive something that I think is cool, I'm going to Miata.
Got it.
For you?
C7.
Even if it's like dangerous, like still C7?
I mean, I thought you were trying to take a fun road trip.
Dear God. That's where I'm at with it. Road trips aren't just about getting from point A to point B. They're about the thrill of the drive. Whether it's carving through the tail of the dragon in a Miata, cruising the Pacific Coast in an Audi S5, or attacking the Blue Ridge Parkway in a C7 Corvette, the right car makes all the difference. So next time you travel, ditch the boring rental and make the drive part of the adventure. Open Turo and find something that excites you, and tag us in videos of you absolutely sending it. Till next time, thanks for watching.